Good afternoon and happy weekend. This is Patty Jo, and I just wanted to look at a little snippet of Darrell Brooks and his absolute misbehavior in his own trial after doing the horrific crimes in Waukesha. I'm going to try to remember to put some context links in the comments below. I would like to thank everybody who watched the last one. I'm just going to do little snippets at first just to see, what my opinion is. I want to see what your opinion is. I love the comments. I love the back and forth. So, as we all know, Darrell Brooks, let's go right here. He is representing himself, and his narcissistic behavior throughout this trial was ridiculous. This is day 13, one of my favorite pieces of this testimony. This is not one that I think a lot of people pointed out. I don't think it was a pivotal thing, but for me, it really was something that struck me because of my background and because of the times that I have testified in court for a variety of reasons, whether it be for work or just something else that I was called to testify about, mostly for work. This gentleman's name is Justin Rowe. He is an officer, I believe. And I don't really want to concentrate on the direct, so I'm going to breeze through that, and we're going to look at Darrell's cross-examination, because that's where I want to point something out. I don't want to get in. Let's see, let's turn this up.
Sir, if you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Justin, Justin, Rowe, Rowe.
Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Detective, how are you currently employed?
City of Waukesha Police Department.
Can you briefly describe for the jury your experience in law enforcement?
From 2003 to 2009, I was a security police officer with the United States Air Force. And then from 2009 to present, I've been a member of the Waukesha Police Department.
And your current rank is that of detective?
That's correct.
Detective, okay.
I'd like to direct your attention to the date of November 23, 2021. Were you on duty that day, sir?
Yes, I was.
Do you recall what your assignment was that day?
I was tasked with going to the Maple Avenue and Northwest Avenue area neighborhoods to search for items that may have been discarded by Darrell Brooks.
And were you alone in that task?
No, I was accompanied by a whole team of other detectives and investigators.
So his testimony is very interesting, and I think he plays a very pivotal part in the investigation. I do, however, want to go. I do realize why Darrell Brooks doesn't like him, and I wouldn't want any of his testimony in there because he does, lay a lot of proof and has a lot of credibility. Okay, but let's see if we can pinpoint where Darrell starts.
The knowledge of the alleged defendant's name.
Alleged defendant. You're not an alleged defendant. You're a defendant. Okay. I love how professional this gentleman is. When we go back and look at this, or if you look at some other people who've reviewed these, you can see he does answer to the jury. That is what you're supposed to do. He's very clear and concise, and he's not looking too happy here. Okay, so alleged defendant, I hate that.
I don't remember.
When did your part of the investigation start?
After he drove the SUV through the parade, I was called at home to come in and help the departments with the investigation.
And just so we clear for the record,
For the record.
is the jury asking you questions or me?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the question.
Okay, you're supposed to answer to the jury, and that question is inappropriate for that person. That's just narcissistic, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I was referring to when I ask a question, he turns towards the jury as if they're the ones asking the question.
That's not a question, Your Honor. That's
It is a question.
We did ask a question about that.
Yes.
I think you're asking, why does he do that? To that extent, the witness may answer.
I'm here to present the case to the jury.
So,
Okay. So, this is where it's going to go left. Because he's going
follow
to
that
left right.
fundamentally.
Follow that fundamentally.
But for the sake of making sure you hear the questions right, wouldn't it be fair to say that you should pay attention to the questions being answered, or being asked, rather?
Assumes the fact, not an evidence.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Wouldn't it make sense to focus on the questions so you can hear them clearly?
Objection argumentative, still assumes the fact, not an evidence.
Sustained.
He said the same thing.
You made reference to you being here to present the case to the jury.
It's latching. Those little narcissistic
So is that the
tentacles.
reason why you decided to testify?
Okay, here we go.
Objection to the relevance.
Grounds?
Overruled, the witness may answer.
I don't understand your question.
Fair.
Were you able to hear my question clearly?
And now he's going to go back and criticize him.
Were you able to hear my question clearly?
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Next question, please. Or rephrase the
Offensive.
previous question to the one that was asked just now.
What was not understood about the question that you were asked?
Objection argumentative.
Grounds?
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
What wasn't clear about what I was asking?
It's the same question.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Grounds?
It's, the objection is sustained. Let's go back and ask the question that he says he didn't understand and rephrase it, please. Or move on. Your choice.
Was your sole reason for testifying here today?
Objection relevance.
She didn't let him in.
Mr. Brooks get the question out. Go ahead.
Apologize, I thought that was it.
He hates
Are
Susan.
you testifying today strictly to prove your case to the jury?
It's not his
Objection to
case.
statement of his testimony.
Grounds? That's what he said.
The case. Not his
Sustained
case.
as to the form of the question misstates the prior testimony.
That's what he said.
No, it's not. You hear what you want.
So why did you decide to testify here today?
There you go.
Objection, that's a legally inaccurate question, Your Honor.
Please rephrase the question. I'm sustaining the question asked as to the form of the question.
I don't know how I'm supposed to rephrase that.
Stop screwing up your face first.
without
Darrell,
having the same form of the question? That helps.
I'll rule if there's an objection, but ask a question, please.
Did you seek to testify here today in this matter?
no.
No.
Simple answer, love it.
So how did you ultimately come to that decision?
Objection, that's a misstatement, Your Honor. It was not his decision.
I disagree. This is where I disagree. He does have a choice as a detective, as a person who works for the police department, to not testify or to not answer a subpoena. He got a subpoena. Let's go there and hear this.
Sustained is to the form of the question assumes a fact, not an evidence.
Were you subpoenaed?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you recall by whom you were subpoenaed to testify?
District Attorney Sue Opper from the Washington County District Attorney's Office.
And at that time you were subpoenaed, you decided to testify.
I don't believe it's my decision.
That is where, yes. When you receive a subpoena as a citizen, as somebody who works in law enforcement, as somebody who works in the fire department, as somebody who works in a hospital setting, as somebody who works really in any kind of one of those settings, as any kind of citizen, you're supposed to answer the court's subpoena, show up, and testify to what you know. We all have choices. Thinking outside the box, we all do have choices. Yes, he can choose not to testify. As a citizen, he still may have consequences to that choice. Those are not consequences many citizens want to answer to. And above and beyond that, as a detective working in law enforcement, he has even more consequences. His department, many departments, all first responders and nurses and doctors and things, they are required to answer to subpoenas that occur when we are asked to testify due to situations we come across in our job. So while he is doing any investigation, he is probably subpoenaed many times. Now, if he chooses not to do it, he could be suspended. He could be suspended without pay. There could be administrative admonishment at work. There could be something that's placed in his record. He could actually even potentially lose his job based on how those operating procedures are written. What's the fact that as a citizen, and if he doesn't answer a subpoena, he's got those consequences. So does he have a choice? Darrell, yes. But nobody is going to face any of those consequences for the likes of you.
Well, it would be fair to say that you didn't have to show up, right? That'd be fair to say?
No, I had to show up.
But would it be fair to say that you could have chosen not to?
No, it would not be fair to say that.
Exhibit 131 that was shown to you. Have you seen that video footage before today?
Yes, I have.
Do you recall who showed it to you before today?
I don't recall who showed it to me.
Would it be fair to say you've seen it multiple times before today?
Yes, I've seen it a number of times.
And do you recall when you were first shown that video?
Not off the top of my head.
Was it the same day of the incident, the days following, sometime after?
I don't recall when I saw the video the first time.
And what about Exhibit 130? Had you seen that video footage before today?
Objection, Your Honor, 130 is the map.
Or the map? Had you seen the map before today? I don't really think it.
Just for the record, I'll sustain the objection just because it referenced the wrong number, but I believe you rephrased. So go ahead, the witness may answer.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Had you seen the map of Exhibit 130 before today?
Yes, I have.
Multiple times as well?
Yes, numerous times.
Any idea why you viewed it so many times, multiple times?
Unsure.
Were you able to obtain any more information upon seeing the map numerous times that you didn't obtain when first seeing the map?
No.
So it would be fair to say you pretty much knew what the map was detailing. Each and every time you saw it.
Yes.
And on that map, Exhibit 130, you made reference to at some point the dotted line, and it stops at some point. That'd be fair to say?
Could you be more specific?
The dotted line that was referred to on the map.
Do you want the map brought up? Would that be helpful to you?
Or maybe might be helpful to him.
He's got the large map, but if you want to...
So, if you can see the dotted line on the map behind you,
Yes.
is it fair to say that the dotted line stops at some point? Around Central Avenue, maybe?
Yes, there's a couple lines that seem to come to Central Avenue or egress out of Central Avenue that do stop.
And you stated that, well, what was the reason that you stated that that line stops, the dotted line?
It stated that it's because we don't know the exact location where you crossed the street to get over to Elizabeth Street.
And why, were there no cameras present at that point, or how did you lose the path of travel at that point?
We didn't find any cameras or any eyewitnesses in that area.
So it would be fair to say at that point you weren't sure what happened.
I know that you crossed the street at some point. We just don't know where.
How do you know that?
Because you were arrested on Elizabeth Street.
Did you see any crossing of, I think you said that was West? Would that be West Avenue that you were referring to, that you don't see any crossing of?
What's your question?
is that West Avenue that you stated that you didn't see any crossing of?